Project One National Advisory Board member Christopher Arps is joining us, and former Trump campaign aide Rick Gates. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping held a virtual meeting today to discuss tensions in Europe and what they call aggressive U.S.-NATO rhetoric. Rick, how's this call going to work out for us?
Well, it's not going to work out well, and it didn't work out well for us or the Biden administration. What Vladimir Putin was able to do, and the call lasted a little over an hour, was have President Xi back Putin on the idea that he is able to get guarantees from the West that Ukraine would not join NATO. And that is a pretty profound development in terms of the relations between China and Russia and what impact it's going to have on the United States. Ukraine should be able to choose its own, decision whether it goes into NATO or not. It shouldn't be predicated on Putin saying no or the U.S. saying yes. And that is going to be a major sticking point for the Biden administration. This is exactly what they were trying to avoid, is this teaming up of Russia and China on some of these major important points.
Well, especially as it pertains to Iran as well, don't you think?
Betsy, I want to say, first of all, I think you're doing a great job, and you sound like you are having an absolute ball. Like I said last hour, we were worried about China and Russia coming together in the 70s during the Cold War. That never did happen. I had a foreign policy military expert on my radio show last week, and he pointed out that Russia and China have two different interests, and the potential of them probably getting together is not very high.
Well, I'd like to believe that's true, but better safe than sorry. And the fact is, we see them cooperating militarily already.
Yeah, we do see that, but I think it's more of a saber rattling to try to intimidate the United States. I think Russia and China and the world see that our president has lost a little bit off his fastball, and so I think they're taking advantage of that situation.
Mm-hmm. And now on to COVID. According to a new poll, 53% of Americans approve of President Biden's handling of the COVID pandemic. The U.S. has had about 800,000 deaths. I hate to say about because every life is so precious, but CDC Director Rochelle Walensky spoke about how we will all resume our lives when we have the COVID-19 vaccine very extensively administered and when we can see the end of this pandemic. Take a listen to her.
Shouldn't the messaging be, though, Rochelle, as we sit here, because we're going into year two, people think we're waiting for you to sound the trumpet and say it's all clear. We're not really going to get an all clear, are we? We just have to face the fact that we're going to have to live with this. True?
I think that that's probably true. But what I would say is we have a lot of control and power to do that as we come together, as we get vaccinated, as we do those prevention things that work to protect one another and ourselves and our family. We can bring down the amount of disease in this country and get much faster to that place.
Well, panel, I wish that the director of the CDC would put this in perspective. It is true now that we have incurred a tragic 800,000 or so deaths. But when we see now what's happening in the United States with Omicron, the extreme anxiety about this new variant when virtually there are no deaths from Omicron in the United States, what do you think of that, Rich?
Yeah, I think what we're losing sight of the fact that we need to fight the disease. We need to fight the viruses, not cower to it. And that's exactly what's happening. And I think there's been a lot of miscommunication, misinformation over the last almost 2 years that has created the scenario that we're in now, where masks, do they work, do they not work? How many booster shots are we going to need? If we had known more and studied more and been more careful about the information that was put out to the American public, we all might have a different view on not only how to deal with it, but how to fight it as well.
That's right. And of course, we've gotten such conflicting messages from the CDC from the very beginning. Mask, don't mask, have family gatherings, don't have family gatherings. And even now with the booster, we're getting very conflicting views. What's your viewpoint on this?
You know, the recent reports say that Omicron is only accounted for about 3% of the new COVID-19 diseases or cases. You know, I think that the administration could have reached their goal of having the vaccination rates that they wanted if they wouldn't have been so heavy-handed about it. And I think it troubles me to see companies like Kroger and other major companies that are mandating that their employees get this vaccine by adding surcharges to their health insurance and measures like that. Americans are free people. We don't like heavy-handed tactics.
Amen. That is the best way to wrap this up. Americans are free people, and we don't like heavy-handed tactics. Thank you, panel.